Hello, good morning, everybody. On behalf of India Home Nutrition Talks, I welcome Ms. Shaili Saran Varanasi from St. Louis. She is a highly qualified, self-motivated, knowledgeable, and skilled registered dietitian nutritionist with over 2 decades of experience in the field of nutrition, with teaching as a passion. Skilled in assessing patients' nutrition needs, developing and implementing nutrition interventions to improve their nutritional status. Possessing the ability to communicate complex, sensitive information about dietary matters in an understandable form to patients and consumers. She is capable of working with a multidisciplinary team and effectively communicate at all levels. And she is the current president of the Dietitians Society at St. Louis. And therefore, we requested to come and present to our seniors, and let's get the knowledge from her, use it, improve your health, and increase your health span. Welcome, Shailiji.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. I'm going to share my screen now so you all can see my presentation. Can you all see it clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Shaili. I work as a clinical dietitian here in St. Louis as SSM Hospital. I also teach at Logan University, some integrated courses and nutrition courses. And I'm the current, Dr. Rao said, of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics at St. Louis. The topic for today for you guys is the joy of eating well and aging well, which is very important. As we age, you all know that, there's so many changes that are going on in our body. Physiological changes, the body composition changes, our metabolism slows down, immune system declines. There's so many changes in the digestive or the GI tract. We get, dental issues, sensory issues. So multiple changes occur as we age. Also, most of us, especially in this country, become empty nesters as well. So, you tend to eat alone, or you don't have a good support system, or you are on a lot of medications with so many health issues. Now, these changes are influenced by various things like your life events, any illnesses that you have, your genes, obviously, which we can't control, socioeconomic factors as well. So what our body definitely needs is a balanced diet along with physical activity. So we have a good quality of life, we age well, and you remain independent as you age as well. Now, when you eat healthy, obviously, there are different factors that come into play. You have increased mental acuteness, so you're more aware, your mental status is better, your immunity improves, you are resistant to diseases, or if you get sick, you get healthier sooner if you are eating healthy or if you are healthy. Your levels of energy are high. If you eat healthy, then you can exercise. So it's like a vicious cycle. You eat better, you're able to exercise better as well. Your health issues or concerns, the main issues like diabetes, heart issues, you can manage them better when you're eating healthy. You maintain your muscle mass as well, and definitely bone health, which we will talk more about in details. The first question anybody who sees me ask is, how many calories do I need? Now that totally depends on a lot of different factors: how tall you are, what's your weight, how active you are, what's your gender. But on an average, based on the National Institute of Aging, women 60 plus need anywhere from 1,600 to 2,200 calories based on how active you are. Similarly, for men, you need about 2,000 to 2,600 calories on an average, again, based on how active you are. Now, protein needs are very important as well when we age, and the bare minimum is a gram per kilogram of body weight. For example, if your weight is 50 kgs, your needs for protein are 50 grams. Based on other factors, like if you have low muscle mass or if you have any other disease factors, this can change, but that anywhere from 1 to 1.2 grams per milligram or gram of your body weight is what is recommended. Now, some of the nutrients that we are concerned as we age, definitely you do need your calories, which you get from your carbohydrates, from your protein, and your fats. Fluid is very important, so maintaining your hydration status, and we'll talk a little bit more in details in a bit. Fiber is a carbohydrate, but then is very essential to keep our GI tract working. It also binds to the cholesterol your body is making and throws it out of the system, so helps bring that cholesterol level down. Some of the major nutrients or vitamins and minerals are folic acid, which you can, for example, get from your dals, legumes, pulses, your green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds as well. B12, especially if you're a vegetarian, is very important to make sure that you're getting enough. You do get B12 from dairy food and some non-vegetarian food items like chicken, egg, and fish. But if you're a vegetarian, making sure that either you're consuming enough B12 or taking a supplement. Calcium and vitamin D are very essential, and I will go more into details about that in a little bit. Zinc is another nutrient that is essential as we grow, as we age as well. Some of the things that have zinc in it is any of your cereals, your brown rice is a great source, chocolate, dairy foods, your seeds and nuts as well. I'm not sure if anyone has seen this, but this is one of the latest thing that the government has been talking about is My Plate. The reasoning behind that My Plate is portion sizes in the country they're pretty huge. We are so used, especially in India, we're so used to smaller cups, smaller plates, but in this country, some of the dinner plates are like 12 to 14 inches. The bigger the plate, the more you tend to portion out on your plate as well. So that's the reason why they came up with this My Plate. This plate is about 10 inches, so more like a side plate rather than a huge, big dinner plate. And you can measure your plate at home just to make sure that you know what size dinner plate you're using. A balanced diet is when you can have all different food groups on your plate. So making sure you have fruits, you have some vegetables. Now the starchy vegetables like potatoes, corn, peas, beans, and lentils fall under this grain category, and protein as well. Dairy is very essential, and I will talk about it when we talk about osteoporosis. You need to consume at least 3 to 4 servings of milk-based food every day. Now, if you're a diabetic, for example, this plate just changes a little bit. So your fruit moves to the side and your non-starchy vegetables take half of your plate. Exercise, like I mentioned before, is really essential, and making sure that you have that good balance of what you're eating and you're exercising. Now, exercise levels change based on your abilities and health issues as well, but the general recommendation is to be physically active for 150 minutes a week. And activity level should be moderate. So working hard enough so that your heart rate is a little bit higher. Even brisk walking is considered moderate activity. If you're unable to, exercise due to health issues, you can always, do some chair exercises or walking if you're able to, whatever, based on your level of, how good you can do it. Now, coming back to My Plate and thinking about the different food groups we talked about, some of the major things that you need to look at is make sure that your grains are whole grains, at least 3 ounces of whole grain. For example, white bread versus wheat bread. Now, not everything that looks brown is whole. So you have to be very careful, look on the food label and make sure it has 3 grams or more of fiber. They do have a logo that says whole grain on some of the food products now, so that makes it much easier to select whole grain products. And I'll discuss a little bit more about the food label reading in a bit. But making sure that you're making at least half your grains whole. For example, wheat bread, whole wheat bread versus white bread, brown rice versus white rice. Weighing your veggies. Vegetable and fruits are the lowest in calories, very high in nutrition. Some of the vegetables are as low as 5 calories per gram. They have a lot of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals that have cancer-fighting properties as well. Eating more different colored fruits and vegetables in general is recommended. Fresh and frozen and in season is always the best. When you buy things that are in season, one, they're cheaper and they're good, they're the most nutritious at that time. You can always look up the information, what is in season, or the easiest way to find out is what is cheaper. For example, if the carrots are cheaper at a certain time, then it is in season. So that kind of helps as well, but making sure you're eating a variety of fruits and vegetables. Anything, in a can, you have to be cautious of two things. One, if it is a fruit, it should be in its own fruit juice, not any kind of heavy syrup. You don't want all that added sugar. Or if it is a vegetable, in a can, just making sure that you drain it out, rinse it really well so all that sodium is leached out. As far as your fruits are concerned, again, making sure you're not drinking too much of fruit juice. And if you do, maybe 8 ounces a day is good enough, and 100% no sugar added fruit juice. When you do eat fresh fruits, they are definitely healthier. Any kind of dry fruits, like for example, raisins, they are very nutrient dense. So the amount that you need is much less. When you think about nuts and seeds, they are very healthy for you, like almonds, pistachio, walnuts, really healthy. But two things to watch out for. One, they are unsalted. You don't want all that extra sodium. So all that extra sodium acts like a sponge, holds on to water in your body and makes your heart work harder, raises your blood pressure, leads to heart failure. Second thing is the portion size, not more than a handful. So anywhere from, 5 to 12 pieces on an average is a good number. Just to give you an idea, like if you eat a measuring cup of cashews, it's about 1,000 calories. So it adds up pretty fast, but then it's a good nutrient dense food to have when you're not able to eat much. Protein group, it used to be called the meat group, but since there are vegetarian sources of protein as well, they changed it to the protein group, making sure you're selecting, if you're a non-vegetarian, low fat, lean meats, baking, broiling, steaming, grilling is the way to go, nothing deep fried. And if you're a vegetarian, you have to put in a little bit more extra effort to make sure you're getting enough protein. So, if you do eat fish, that's okay. If not, then, your beans, lentils, pulses, peas have protein as well, nuts and seeds, tofu. Those are some of the good sources for protein. Now, as far as fats are concerned, this is one question I do get often is which fat is good for you? Now, there are different kinds of fat. It confuses everyone. Saturated, unsaturated, and trans fat are the ones that you would see on the label. Saturated fat is the fat that's solid at room temperature. Some of the example could be your butter, your ghee is an example as well. And unsaturated one is more plant-based and it's liquid at room temperature, which is healthier. But remember, a fat is still a fat. A gram of fat gives you 9 calories per gram versus carbohydrates and protein that gives you only 4 calories. So that's why anything that is deep fried is higher in calories. Now, it's a good thing to have if you're not able to eat much, but in general, still watching the amount is essential. Trans fat is another term which is very misleading. It is actually a man-made fat. The other term you might see is hydrogenated fat on the label. That's a fat that you don't need any at all. So anything with trans fat, you don't need to buy because it's not at all good for you. A lot of research has been done in the past 2 decades, and they've realized it's actually worse than the saturated fat. Now, saturated fat has earned a bad name. You still need some, not too much. So just keeping a watch that you're not overdoing it. Now, alcohol, again, just a side note that, if you are drinking alcohol, moderation is the key. The recommendation is 1 drink per day for women and up to 2 for men. And the size is pretty small, about 12 ounces of regular beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of any spirit would be counted as a serving. Avoidance is always best, but if you do drink, just a side note for reference. Coming back to calcium, like I mentioned, is very, very essential as we age. Now, there's a cutoff age till when you can actually add calcium to your bones, and that is 21. After that, it's like a retirement bank account. You can just, what you eat is used, and if you don't eat enough, it starts coming out of your bones, making it weak, leading to osteoporosis. So making sure that you're selecting calcium-rich foods. Now, there are different sources of calcium. Dairy food is the one that we always bank on when we think about calcium foods. The reason being the calcium from these foods are more available or absorbed better in your body. The other sources are like some green leafy vegetables, broccoli, spinach. The only drawback is you do get some, but it also has something called oxalates that bind to the calcium, so the absorption rate is not the best. But it's always a good resource, especially if you're lactose free, if you can't tolerate or lactose intolerance. Now, what is lactose intolerance? It's not really an allergy. It is actually an intolerance because your body doesn't have enough enzymes called lactase to break down the sugar in milk. So based on how many enzymes you have, you might be able to tolerate some food products. Like some people cannot tolerate plain milk, but they're okay with, yogurt, cheese, or fermented foods. But some people can, not tolerate anything at all because they don't have the enzyme. So you could use almond milk, soy milk. Keep in mind, needs to be unsweetened. You don't want the added sugar. And also making sure that, you are including other food products that are calcium rich. Like I said, osteoporosis is when your bones become weak and they tend to break more often. Actually, women are more prone to osteoporosis than men. That's what research has shown. This is how a normal bone looks like, and this is when, the calcium has been leaching out as well. So making sure that you're getting your recommended amount of calcium every day, which is about 4 servings. A serving is a cup of milk. I'm talking about a measuring cup. So a cup of milk, a cup of yogurt, and 2 ounces of cheese is counted as a serving. Make sure you're doing some weight-bearing exercises, avoiding alcohol and smoking, and make sure that you're talking to your doctor about your bone health as well. And if you need to get your bone density test, which is painless, so, making sure that you get that done annually so that you're aware if there's any issue. So the recommended amount is about, over 50 years of age is about 1,200 milligrams, which is about 4 servings of calcium-rich food. Now, if you don't like milk and you're not lactose intolerant, there are different ways you can add it to your coffee, your tea, make oatmeal, make a fruit smoothie, and that's an excellent nutrient-dense food as well. You could use yogurt, any kind of milk as a base. You can use powdered milk in different recipes as well. You can eat some puddings. When you make it at home, obviously it is healthier than what you buy. You can always do some chocolate milk or flavored milk, but again, watch out on the sugar content. Now, if you can't eat enough calcium due to one reason or the other, or if you're not getting enough servings, so your next bet is your supplement. Calcium carbonate and calcium citrate are 2 forms of supplements that are available in the market. Now, the calcium carbonate, you will see when you look on the label, it looks like it has more in one pill, or it is cheaper, but the absorption rate of calcium carbonate is not that great. So when you're thinking about a calcium supplement, calcium citrate, Citracal is one of the branded ones, or any other calcium citrate form is better. One, you don't need to eat it with your meals because it doesn't require stomach acid for absorption. The absorption rate is better. And then it's, just a little bit expensive, but it is definitely a better form to consider. Also remember, our body can only tolerate or absorb about 500 milligrams of calcium at one time. So if splitting the dose, so you can have one pill in the morning and then maybe one in the night. So you split it up, the absorption is definitely better. I just wanted to touch a little bit about mindful eating or the hunger scale. I'm not sure if you have ever heard about this, but the hunger scale is 1 to 10, 1 being when you're absolutely famished, starving, and 10 is when you're overly stuffed and you almost feel nauseated. So not waiting till you are really at this level to eat, because then you will end up selecting the wrong kind of food and the wrong amount, because your body is craving that quick energy. Now, 3 to 4 is a good number. When you're a little hungry, you start feel like, okay, I need to eat, is a good time to look at, okay, this is my meal time, I should sit and eat rather than waiting too long. And don't eat till you're stuffed, because it takes 20 minutes for your brain to realize you've overeaten. By then it's too late. So making sure that you stop when you feel, you are full, but not that full. Now, if you're not hungry, that's the other side. So making sure that you schedule your meals so that you don't miss out on your meals, and make sure you're getting enough nutrients throughout the day. Nutrition fact label is a great resource in the country for all of us. Now the new label came about a year ago. It still has most of the same information, but a few changes. It is more user friendly for sure. So if you see, the serving size and calories are bolder, larger, easier to read. They've taken away the calories from fat because it is irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. Most of the nutrients are still the same. They have included this added sugar section on the label, which is very important. For example, if I chop up pineapples and put it in a box and sell it, it has naturally occurring sugar that we can't take out. And that's okay. But if I add heavy syrup to that pineapple so that it, stays for a longer time, that's the added sugar you don't need. So that added sugar is very, important to look at. Fiber, we talked about earlier, making sure it is 3 grams of or more for it to be considered as a high fiber product. Now, for any reason, if you need to be on a low fiber diet, then also this becomes really essential to look for that low fiber option. They have changed some vitamins and minerals at the base. They now have earlier it used to be vitamin A and C. Most of us do get enough of it, so they have changed it to vitamin D and potassium. Calcium and iron was still there, so again, looking for that calcium amount when you're looking for your osteoporosis benefit. Vitamin D, most of us are deficient in it, so that's great to have on the food label. Potassium, again, you have to be very careful. If you have any heart issue or kidney issue, you have to watch out for that amount. Also, if you have high blood pressure, eating more potassium rich foods help bring that blood pressure down, because there's a pump in your system. When that potassium goes in, all that sodium that's stuck in between the cells is pumped out, help bringing that blood pressure down. So that's also great to have on the food label now. Now, there's a thumb rule of reading a food label that makes it much, much easier to read or compare labels. It's called the 5% or 20% rule, or the 5-20 rule. When you look at these percent daily values, anything that is less than 5% is considered low. Anything over 20% is considered high. Now, it depends on what you're looking at. For example, on this label, 45% of iron is a good thing. But if this 45% was for, say, cholesterol, it was not a good thing. You don't want too much of fat, cholesterol, sodium, added sugar, but, all the other vitamins and fiber, higher numbers are better. So that makes it much easier to read a food label as well. Now, malnutrition is also one of those critical issues. Either, you're not able to eat enough or you're not able to get enough nutrients. There are some GI or digestive issues going on or health concerns. So malnutrition could be either ways, low, it can be undernutrition or overnutrition, but in general, as we age, malnutrition becomes a very important thing to actually look out for. To prevent it, make sure that you're eating more nutrient dense food, especially if your appetite is not the best. So for example would be, making yourself a fruit smoothie for breakfast with some low fat yogurt or any kind of milk base. You can add some protein powder to it, some nuts. You don't have to add sugar. Add some fresh fruits like half a banana, some berries, which have antioxidant properties as well. You can add some unsalted almonds. I add like 3-4 dates to my smoothie, so you don't need extra sugar and it adds the extra fiber and the nutrition as well. You can add some instant oats. You can also add some chia seeds, flax seeds. Those are very beneficial for you. So that is an example of a nutrient dense food where you're getting so much nutrition in just one meal. Make sure that you add a lot of flavors. You could use lemon juice, herbs, spices, and Indian cooking is so, in general, we use so many spices and different herbs as well. So it just makes it much easier and more palatable as well. If you can't just, get enough nutrition by eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, make sure you add snacks in between meals. Smaller snacks, nuts, unsalted nuts. It's a good time to have that as, fresh fruit. Those are some good snack options as well. Make sure that you eat with somebody else if you, don't feel like eating if you're all by yourself. If you need help with any food prep, looking at that option as well. Make sure you talk to your doctor if you think that you're not getting enough nutrition so that, they can look at different things, your medication as well. And definitely drinking a lot of fluids. Hydration is the key. If you forget to drink water, make sure you keep a bottle by you so you know how much you're drinking. That just makes it a little bit more conscious. Or maybe, scheduling your having by every hour have a glass of water. So just, keeping a track of your hydration level as well. Now, some of the other common problems that crop up are one, your vision issues are there. So some of the good food items to add are like, which are very high in antioxidants, like nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables. Also, when I was talking about fruits and vegetables, eating a variety helps. Also, fruits and vegetables of different colors have different benefits. For example would be anything orange in color. We have all, heard about the saying that carrots are good for your eyes. The reason being the orange color of carrots come from the pigment carotene, which is a form of vitamin A, which is essential for our eyes. It's not the eyesight, but it's the night blindness part of it that's helpful for. Also, anything that is red in color. So beets, pomegranate, for example, those are good for your heart health because the pigment that gives the red color, lycopene, is very beneficial for your heart health. Arthritis is another thing. So again, a lot of research going on, but in general, what the research says, including healthy food items like your fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, omega-3 fatty acids are very beneficial. Some of the foods that have omega-3 fatty acids are like olive oil, parsley. If you eat fish, some of the, salmon, tuna, they are high in. Flaxseed, again, is a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. The only thing, make sure don't eat the seeds by themselves, grind it and then eat it. The benefit is multifold. So when it is in a ground phase, the omega-3 is better absorbed. Alzheimer's, again, is another thing that, we all worry about as we age. So making sure you're getting good nutrients, a lot of vitamin E, again, nuts, seeds are a great source. omega-3 fatty acids that we talked about, making sure you're getting some good healthy fats because it will have omega-3 fatty acids, for example, using olive oil. Bright colored vegetables and fruits are leafy fruit vegetables as well are known to have those good nutrients as well. And again, we always fall back on fish because it's a lean meat protein with omega-3 fatty acids as well. Like I mentioned, while we were talking earlier, loss of appetite is one of the biggest concern if you're not hungry. So eating more nutrient dense food, but making sure you're talking to your doctor first. It could be a side effect of any medication that you're on. So making sure you're addressing that and then eating more nutrient dense foods, adding more flavors by using, different like garlic, onion, herbs like mint, cilantro, just giving it a little lemon juice so that it tastes a little better. I also, when you age, your taste buds also, the number decreases, so that also can affect your appetite as well, or you don't feel like eating. If you have issues with chewing, making sure that you're eating those softer foods, puddings, like the smoothie we just talked about, steaming your vegetables, cooking them so they're softer, making sure your dentures are fitting well. That's really important if you have any issues with that. So talking to your dentist as well is really important. If your mouth is dry, that's another issue that, we keep hearing from different people as they age. So making sure you're getting your water in. If you need to, maybe you can drink water with your food. So it's easier. It keeps your food moist, including more moist foods, adding more sauces and things like salsas and things like that, so that it's easier to eat as well. If you need, you can always think about a mouthwash and talk to your doctor about that as well. Now, if you're bored of cooking or you don't know what to do, there's some, you can always go out, go to a farmer's market, look what is in season, look up a recipe. Some of it could be online or books, or talk to your friends. They might have some recipe to share that you want to try. That might help as well. So just getting a little bit more creative with healthy meals is always a good idea. If you're unable to go out and shop for yourself or cook for yourself, so there are different options that you have to think about home delivery. You can exchange with friends, okay, I will make a dish, you make a dish, and let's share it, so that way you have more variety. Eating with your friends help too. And then if you can, a homemaker is an option as well. Now, trying to put it all together, making, we all know that you are what you eat. So nutrition definitely is very, very critical and important as you age. So making sure that you're eating a balanced diet, including all different food groups. So looking at that healthy plate that we talked about, make sure you have your fruit, you have your vegetable, you have whole grains. You are drinking enough water. Make sure you have some protein source on your plate as well. And remember to focus on the nutrients that we talked about earlier. So getting your protein, your folic acid, zinc-rich foods, and making sure you're including vitamin D, your calcium-rich foods. Those are essential as well. Reading nutrition labels, again, is very, very important. So you don't have to read it every time you shop. Once you have read a label, okay, this is a good one to eat, put it on your grocery list so you know which product to buy. For example, if you like eating cereal, you can compare different labels and see which one is the healthiest. Or maybe you can have two options to alternate as well and put it on that list. So you don't have to go through that process again and again. It's just like a one-time thing. So, but that makes it much easier for you in the long run. Again, using recommended servings. Serving sizes are not that huge. So, and most of the cups and plates here are huge. That's my biggest problem is, for example, if you actually take a coffee mug and use a measuring cup and pour water in it, sometimes it's 2.5 to 3 servings there itself. So making sure use smaller cups, plates, and it doesn't overwhelm you too. When you put the right amount of food on a huge plate, your mind is like, oh my God, I'm gonna starve. So, or if you're overwhelmed and you're not hungry, you're like, oh, eating in a smaller plate helps as well. So definitely looking at those serving sizes is important. Cannot emphasize enough, make sure you drink enough water, stay hydrated. If you don't like water, you can always flavor it on your own as well. I add like any herbs that I grow in my garden, or you can buy like mint or spearmint or any kind of fruit you can add, so that it's a natural flavor, feels like you're drinking something different, and also keeps you hydrated as well. And again, maybe planning a meal so that you are able to budget it as well, would be helpful. So maybe have like a 5-day menu. Okay, this is what I'm going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you are prepped. At times you can always, if you don't feel like cooking, often you can always do batch cooking. So maybe make larger portions and freeze it. Now, when you make it on your own, you have control over what you eat, what you add to it as well. So it's definitely healthier. So looking at that option as well. Again, making sure that you are physically active, anything, gardening, biking, walking, whatever you're able to do, stretches, yoga, a little bit. It doesn't have to be anything aggressive if you can do, but everything adds up. If you feel that, you can always take a class with somebody. It just helps you being more motivated as well. Make sure you're going to your doctor regularly and connecting with, or have a good support system, connecting with your family and friends. Any questions?
I have a question.
Mhm.
I am losing my appetite.
Okay.
I am single, I means widow, and I don't feel hungry when I am at my home. But when I am with the friend, I eat okay. So what I should do?
So, are you on any medication that might change?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe talking to your doctor first and just making sure that it is not a side effect of a medication, because that can change your appetite as well. And obviously, when you're living by yourself, you don't feel like cooking for yourself, and that's why I gave all those different ideas as to making sure that either you cook in batches or you eat with someone. That is helpful as well. Also, scheduling your meal helps. So, for example, put an alarm for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because a lot of time you just forget. If you're not hungry, you're like, okay, I missed my breakfast. So you're not getting the nutrition that your body needs. So making sure, if you want to put an alarm for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's an option. Or maybe scheduling like a lunch or a breakfast meet with a friend, if that's a possibility. And making sure that when you do eat, you're eating foods that are very nutrient dense. So even when you're eating smaller amounts, you're getting more nutrition out of it. So those are some ways that you can actually, get enough calories, get enough protein as well. Does that answer your question?
Part of.
Okay,
But,
so what part?
I am thinking, but sometimes I call people and say, come over, or if you are free, I come over. Like now this busy day is busy time. So many times when I call, people are not available.
Right. So
And
again,
then when
that
I'm
is one
alone,
option.
and I get more like not to eat because I call 2-3 people and nobody is available. Then I said, forget it, I'm not eating.
Okay, Kalpana ji, do you stay in New York?
No,
Okay,
I'm from New Jersey.
okay. Find somewhere like, senior centers, like where you will get to meet all the friends and they provide lunch too. You can have lunch with the other friends too.
Oh, okay, that is a good idea. Thank you.
So, thank you, Geeta ji. Definitely looking at that option of community, again, like I said, if that's a part, not everybody is available based on their schedule as well, but making sure that you still are eating healthy, even if you're alone. And that's why that nutrient dense or eating foods that have more nutrition, even in smaller amount, becomes the key. Scheduling your meals become a key. Just think that you need to be healthy. Since you don't have a great support system, making sure that you are taking care of your health, and you are independent as well. So definitely looking into it, start writing down if that helps. Keep like a food diary, like what did I have for breakfast? What did I have for lunch? What did I have for dinner? And if you missed something, what was the reason you missed it? Were you bored? Were you tired? You didn't have food in the house, or you didn't cook? What was the reason? And then you can always address that issue. It just makes you a little bit more conscious of what you're doing.
Because of I am diabetic, so because of my diabetes, I always keep the track what I eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, if I eat a snack at night or in the afternoon. So I am doing that, and I try to make it different so I don't get bored with the food.
And so being a diabetic, it is all the more essential that you eat 3 regular meals,
I
because
know, but I don't feel like to. I'm trying so hard. But
so
sometimes
what are
I
some of
eat
the
a
things
heavy
that you like?
breakfast. Sometimes I eat like a heavy breakfast and then I don't eat lunch. And 5 o'clock, I feel like I'm starving. And then I eat my 5 o'clock, I eat my dinner, and that's it. Sometimes I drink milk at the night before I go to sleep.
So what happens to your blood sugar level? If what we want your blood sugar level to look like is breakfast, lunch, dinner. Now, if you don't eat anything, what happens to your blood sugar level? Drops. Then you eat too much because you're starving, it goes up. The more it does that high and low, the more the disease progresses and it starts damaging your organs. So to make sure that your blood sugar level maintains, you have to make sure you're eating healthy. And I totally understand, it's very hard when you are alone, you don't feel like eating, but just remember, for your diabetes, and so that it doesn't progress, you have to make sure you're eating 3 regular meals and not eating too much at one time. It's almost like, in simple words, you have $4 at breakfast, $4 at lunch, and $4 at dinner. You have to use that amount. You cannot use less, cannot use more, cannot save it for later. You can have one thing out of that $4 or 4 different things, but that's essential to keep your blood sugar level at that so that it doesn't drop too low and it stays consistent throughout the day. So being a diabetic, like I said, on the plate, half of your plate is, so just give me an example. And I know, there's some other questions as well, and I'll try to make it quick, but give me an example for breakfast. What would you eat?
I usually eat, if I don't have a good dinner previous night, then I make something warm like a upma or poha, or with kakro, I make like a mung dal or something. And if I am not that hungry in the morning, then I just eat 2 or 3 kakra and little bit snack like a chevdo or chavanung or something.
Okay. So
That's
what
my
about the fruit choice? Do you like fruit?
Yeah.
Do you like a banana? So banana is actually counted as 2, or kela is actually counted as 2 fruit choices, and that's 30 grams of carb there itself. So if you have supposed to eat 60 grams, you can add a banana, maybe a cup of milk, and something else, and that's your breakfast.
Okay. But
so that will
they are
blood sugar level
telling
fine.
me not to eat banana because I'm diabetes. They are high in sugar.
So it is higher, but if you're not eating enough, it's still meeting your carbohydrate requirement. The reason they tell people not to eat banana is because it is 30 grams of carbohydrate versus other fruit, which might be 15 grams. But in your case, since you're not getting enough, that could be an option as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Kishanji, did you have a question?
Yeah, 1 second. Good morning, Dr. Rob. Thank you for bringing in Shelly Varnasi. As always, you are bringing in experts and scholars and scientists to our India platforms. Nice of you. And thank you very much, Dr. Varnasi. Looking at your name in the old times, I think you must have born in Varnasi.
My husband's last name is Varanasi.
Because a lot of people who are born in the cities, they go by the names of cities or name of the months or so and so on. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and education, experience and training with us. And about the myplate.government is very, very helpful to us. The one thing I had is was surprising that you mentioned was do not use mouthwash like I use Listerine. So what's the reason and what's other optional is? The second question I have with you is I know the muscles, you need strong muscles to protect your bones. And if you don't, you get into osteoporosis, like you say. So how to keep muscles strong with the help of diet or vitamins?
And those are very good questions. When we talk about, some of those commercial mouthwash, regular use is okay, but if you have that dry mouth, it can at times aggravate it. In general, using it is okay. But, when you really have that dry mouth going on, that could be one thing you could skip for a few days and see if that's the one that's affecting you. So that was, why I said just keep a watch on that. As far as your second question is concerned, your bones and muscle mass, two things. To keep your bones strong, you need the calcium.